Hey, folks, this is the Wayne S. Spear Show podcast for the 27th of October, 2014. Just a reminder, a couple of days away, got 3 nights of a live broadcast of a special Halloween broadcast. It's going to be some Halloween scary stories. I mean, everybody likes to be scared, don't they? Everybody likes to be on edge, I think, when it comes to Halloween, or on edge in the sense of, oh my God, it's that scary moment, So it's a live broadcast, Spreaker.com, Eastland Radio Repertory Theater. Yes. So anyway, you can go to eastlandradiotheater.weebly.com or go to Spreaker.com and look up Eastland Radio Repertory Theater. And I'm going to be live Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. So come check it out. Yes. Come check it out if you would, please. That's Eastland Radio Repertory Theater on Spreaker, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern, or go to eastlandradiotheater.weebly.com. Thank you. Anyway, onward and upward to bigger and better things. A couple of weeks from now, we got elections. We got midterm elections coming up, and the question remains, how are we going to stop what's happening right now? How are we going to stop? Now, everybody is asking, well, people I know are asking that, such as Brian Lang over at Live Truth Radio, Brian Keller on Shake and Wake Radio with the BK Factor, just a bunch of people. How are we going to stop this? Well, that's a very good question, but the other question is, what are we going to replace it with? We can stop all of this by our votes. If they really counted. So we have midterm elections coming up. We have the purveyors of propaganda in the state-run media telling us what to do, when to do it, why to do it, how to do it, and who to vote for. And what we have to understand is we have to understand one very vital thing that is incredibly important and always good to remember, and that is your candidates there might be some very good ones out there, and they may sound very, very good in what they want to do. And they may say all the right things, and they may sound just absolutely fantastic. I've heard a couple of shows this morning. There's some candidates on there for Senate. And I've heard in the past week or so information about some some candidates running for Senate because they want to kick Harry Reid out. Okay, they want Harry Reid gone. Okay, Harry Reid is a corrupt bastard. He doesn't need to be in Nevada. He was born in Nevada. And he just is a corrupt individual. When I first heard about him and how he was running for Senate, that was back in the early 90s, okay? And when I found out that he became a senator, he was voted in, I thought to myself, I wonder how that's going to play out. Because he said all the right things. Everything he was saying then, current candidates are saying now, but who do you believe? Who do you believe? When I moved back to California in the early 90s, I'm broadcasting in Reno, Nevada, the biggest little city in the world. And years ago when I moved back to California, because I'm originally from there, I kept my eye on Harry Reid, and guess what? Every year something he was doing really verified my feelings at the time that he was elected senator. He's a corrupt bastard. That's just the way it is. Now, when you look at his family and you look at who his family is, as far as his ancestry and everything, yeah, one of his relatives was hung, okay? Yes, walked out to the gallows, have a rope around his neck, and hung, okay? So, not a good family to come from. Okay, but you have to remember that there is something else at play here, and that is the people of the United States want a change, and they want all of this bull crap to stop. They want Common Core out. They want to get rid of just get rid of the Federal Reserve, the IRS, the National Education Administration. Just get rid of it all. Just get rid of it all. They want it all gone. Now, when I say all, what I'm saying is, before you misconstrue the things that I say, what I'm saying is they want to get rid of the corrupt organizations and departments in Washington, D.C. That's what people want. They want a simplified, streamlined government, but not centralized to where there is a play for power in the legislative, judicial, or executive branches. They want balance. This is what people want. The only way you're ever going to get balanced in a corrupt system is to band together as people and go after those corrupt individuals and start taking them out one at a time. And nowadays, if your vote really did count, that would be easy. But now, since they don't count, we have to do something else. And it has to be on a local level. And believe me, I've seen it work before. You do something locally, it has great effect nationally. It's like a pebble in a pond. You throw your pebble in the pond or in the water, you get these little ripples at the beginning, but the bigger ones are out there. And it just wipes out a whole lot of other stuff. So you got to do that. But anyway, what do we do? What do we replace it with? Okay. I'm going to tell you right now, we need to get rid of centralized government. We need to get rid of the IRS, the Federal Reserve, all of that. We need to get rid of the corporations out of Washington, D.C., and we just need to simplify the whole thing. And you know how you do that? You give back all the power, not give back. I mean, nowadays, they're not going to give it up easily. So the states individually have to take it back from Washington, D.C. We lent the power of the states and the power of the people of the states to Washington, D.C., and they usurped it, and they used it against us. Now, we need to take it back. And we need to pull back the reins. We need to stop this out-of-control government. We need to put a stop to all of these corrupt organizations and departments in Washington, D.C. That's what we need to do. What do we replace it with? Simplicity. That's what we have to replace it with. Simplicity. What is a simple form of government? And I know I went past a break, but what's the simple form of government? What's the processes in a simplified form of government that would help each state and grow each state? One, get rid of 95% of all regulations holding back entrepreneurship. Get rid of it all. There's only 3 things that I found that work as far as regulation. One, if you're a restaurant, you got to look at the health issue. If you're a mom and pop business selling books, you have to look at taxes. Because obviously, that's a big thing when it comes to business as well. And number 3, you have to look at the area, the tax base of that area being able to sustain any entrepreneur in that area, wherever that may be. Again, why is that so important? Because once you get rid of the Federal Reserve and the IRS and the Internal Revenue Service, the enforcers, the one that breaks her legs if you don't pay up, once you get rid of the Federal Reserve and the IRS, the states have to, depend upon an income. Okay? They have to sustain themselves some way, just like any business. And each state is a country unto itself with 3 branches of government. So, in each state, when you drop, get rid of the Federal Reserve and the IRS, and you drop the state taxes down to about 5 to 8% or 8.5%, guess what? Entrepreneurs are able to build up their communities. Because now you don't have 95% of the regulations suppressing entrepreneurs, and now you start to grow. And that's just a general overview. I don't have any specifics in that. I don't know the numbers. I haven't crunched the numbers. But if somebody out there has, please let me know. But this is true for freedom and liberty across the United States. You have to get rid of all corrupt organizations and departments in Washington, D.C. You need to get rid of it all, basically. You need to take corporations out of the voting and out of the contribution end of politics. Just kick them out. They don't need to be there. You need to put this government back into the hands of the people. You need to put the people in charge of the states and the state, legislators. And then you need to get rid of state regulations which suppress entrepreneurship. You want to grow your state? You get rid of 95% of all those regulations, and you'll see the state grow. Okay? Now, if that's not right, and if that doesn't sound right, and if you think that would not work, prove it. Prove it. Like I said, I don't have the numbers in front of me. I don't have specifics. I'm giving you a general overview, but obviously there's more to it than just my own overview of the things that I already know. So obviously you must have specifics, eh? So send those to me at freeamericaradio@usa.com. freeamericaradio@usa.com. And because I skipped the break at the 5 after mark, we got a few more minutes here. But I want to know from you, what would you replace? What type of system would you replace this government with? Currently, we have capitalism, which is corrupt within itself because of the over-regulation and, of course, the backdoor deals and everything. So we have to get rid of all of the money, all of the corruption, all of that, and let capitalism through the market work. Okay? Capitalism works when you have a market value of a product or service that is in equal standing with the worth of the person and what they make, what their income is. When you start looking at things like that, and you start eliminating all of the suppressive regulations, and you let the market work itself out, you're going to have a growth that is far beyond what you could ever imagine. Now, you number crunchers out there, if you're wrong, if you're wrong about your assessment of, well, it won't work because, show me. Now, I know that's a double negative, so let me simplify that for you, okay? If I'm wrong, or if I have overlooked something, or if I missed something, show me. Email your information to freeamericaradio@usa.com, freeamericaradio@usa.com. I look at it this way also. We have an opportunity in this country to again be the best that we can be. We have an opportunity in this country to go far beyond what we have been bound to do. In other words, we can go beyond the suppression. We can go beyond the oppressed minds. We can step beyond the boundaries that have surrounded us for many, many years. We can. Now, how do I know that? Well, if you looked at the history of the United States and the problems we've had and overcome, I think we have a great example due to the history that we've lived. The experience has already shown us that we are a resilient people and that we can bounce back from the worst of any situation that we find ourselves in. Unfortunately, we have listened to all the wrong people, and we have put ourselves in a position to where we become apathetic. We've looked at other people and said, well, I'll wait till they do it and see if they succeed. I'll wait to see if their business fails, or, and if that type of business fails, then I won't get into that. You know what competition is? It's 4 or 5 different people creating the same type of business and competing against one another. And guess what? That grows the community. Or have we forgotten that? Oh, yes, we have, haven't we? You got a grocery store down on one end of the block, a little mom and pop. Not big, not one of your big, huge mainstream, but a neighborhood store. It's got enough there. It's got the milk section, the veggie section. It's got this, all of it's just a store, neighborhood store. I grew up in a town with one of those. But then you got the big ones like Walmart and Winco and all these other ones, and Kroger and Smith's and all this. You got the big ones. But you know what grows the community? Living in the community and working in the community and shopping in the community. Not driving 4 or 5 miles to go to a big nationwide outlet and doing your shopping. Okay? It's literally your community. And you have to help your community grow by being a part of your community. And if you don't want to be a part of your community, there's something wrong. Or the other mindset of, well, I'll see if the other guy succeeds. I'll see how they do. And then I'll take a shot at it. Really? How about just going out and doing it? Huh? Hey, I am going to take a break. So I shall return, but remember, live broadcast of Eastland Radio Repertory Theater. It's a Halloween special for 3 nights, 29th, 30th, and 31st at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. Right here on Spreaker at Eastland Radio Repertory Theater or eastlandradiotheater.weebly.com. And I'll be live that night in the chat room, so if you want to show up and chat with me, you can. That's 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, for a Halloween special for Eastland Radio Repertory Theater right here on Spreaker.com or eastlandradiotheater.weebly.com. Got questions? Email me, freeamericaradio@usa.com. That's freeamericaradio@usa.com. Or go to their website at thewaynespearceshow.weebly.com. I shall return right after this. This is Reverend Wayne S. Pierce from the Free America Radio Network. Come join me on The Views Expressed Live, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, on freeamericaradio.us.
you know that the first Matrix was designed to be a perfect human world where none suffered, where everyone would be happy? And it was a disaster. No one would accept the program. Entire crops were lost. Some believed that we lacked the programming language to describe your perfect world, but I believe that as a species, human beings define their reality through misery and suffering. So the perfect world was a dream that your primitive cerebrum kept trying to wake up from. Which is why the Matrix was redesigned to this, the peak of your civilization.
I am wondering, why are you here?
Hey, folks, how you doing? This is the Wayne S. Pierce Show podcast for the 27th of October, 2014. How are you? Broadcasting from the biggest little city in the world, Reno, Nevada. And, yeah. So what else? Hey, just want to remind you, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. Spreaker.com. Eastland Radio Repertory Theater, a special Halloween live broadcast all 3 nights. Yes, join me in the chat room. Let me know what you think. That's a Halloween special, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. Eastland Radio Repertory Theater. You can also go to eastlandradiotheater.weebly.com to listen to it there as well. So thank you, folks. I appreciate that. If you have any questions, of course, you can email me at freeamericaradio@usa.com, freeamericaradio@usa.com. Now, let's get on to something else here, shall we? Let's go over here. And let's go to, and I like going to Drudge Report because they have a lot of headlines from a lot of places. Okay, I'm just saying. All right. U.S. soldiers returning from Liberia are being placed in isolation in Vicenza, Italy. Is that how you pronounce it? Sorry. ER nurse. Duncan lied about exposure to virus. Okay. People are coming out and just saying, just telling it like it is, folks. Okay. That's just the way it is. People have to just step up and say, no, screw you, government. I'm going to tell you exactly how it is. Okay. Now, here's an interesting little tidbit from drudgereport.com. Pharmaceuticals. This is at ft.com. That's F as in Frank, T as in Tom.com. Under the companies and health section, pharmaceuticals. The silver economy. Silicon Valley joins quest to cure aging. The person writing the headline doesn't know how to spell. But from earliest recorded history, a procession of emperors, alchemists, and charlatans have searched in vain for the mystical elixir of life. So perhaps it should be no surprise that the hunt for a cure for aging is the latest investment fad among the gods of our time. U.S. technology entrepreneurs. Now, I was talking in the first segment about entrepreneurs, right? I stand on that. Communities are built upon entrepreneurs. Communities are built from the entrepreneurs. You get rid of the 95% of the regulation suppressing them, you're going to have a better community. Okay, so think about that coming up in the midterms in a few weeks. Continuing, so perhaps it should be no surprise. Now get this. I want to read that again only because I want to put the emphasis on something here. So perhaps it should be no surprise that the hunt for a cure for aging is the latest investment fad among the gods of our time, U.S. technology entrepreneurs. Larry Ellison, you heard of him? Founder of Oracle, and Peter Thiel, co-founder of PayPal and an early Facebook backer, are among those who have poured personal wealth into the quest. By the way, Larry Ellison, I don't know about him specifically, but I know Peter Thiel is backed by members of the Bilderberg Group. And I do believe he went to one of their meetings, I think a couple of years ago. Continuing, they were joined last year by Google, whose secretive biotech startup Calico is receiving hundreds of millions of dollars from the internet group to support its bid to unlock secrets of aging. Go look that up, folks. Startpage.com. Go look up Google biotech startup Calico, Calico, just like the cat. Continuing, some have mocked such ventures as Silicon Valley hubris. But others believe these West Coast visionaries have accurately anticipated the next big breakthrough in medical science, a significant extension in healthy human lifespan. I can tell you where to start right now, folks, and that's get GMOs out of food. And get all the chemicals and crap out of the food. As a matter of fact, here's how to really jumpstart entrepreneurs. Get rid of the commercial farmers. In other words, the crap that is in the stores with the GMOs and all. Get rid of that. Corporate farming, not commercial. Did I say commercial? Corporate farming. Get rid of all them. Let mom and pops in your counties and in your states grow the food to take it to market, like your great-great-grandfathers and grandmothers did. Okay? Continuing, finding ways for people to live even longer might sound like the last thing needed in a world whose aging population increasingly looks like a social and economic time bomb. But what if life could be extended in such a way that allowed people to remain active and economically productive for longer? This was the vision set out by Jay Olshansky, there we go, professor of public health at the University of Illinois, when he presented a paper to an audience including Sergey Brin, a co-founder of Google 2 years ago. Okay, the paper was presented in that 2 years ago. Quote, he was asking some interesting questions about our health priorities, what our health priorities should be, recalls the professor. Quote, I told him a cure for cancer would create more problems than it solved, because if you save people from a disease, you are just exposing them to an increased risk of dying of something else. The aim should be to look at underlying risk factors behind age-related diseases, unquote. By the way, let me interject something here. There's already a cure for cancer. The problem is there's no profit in cures. Okay, just saying. Continuing, Professor Olshansky, cannot be sure that he influenced Google's decision to create Calico, short for the California Life Company, but go look that up, startpage.com, California Life Company, Calico, or put in Google biotech firm Calico. Continuing, but he says its push on aging research has brought credibility to a field once associated with cranks and dreamers. Google's potential to use its power of data analysis to advance medical science has made Big Pharma take notice. In September, Abivai, the U.S. drug maker, agreed an alliance with Calico that will see the pair jointly invest up to $1.5 billion to develop treatments for age-related conditions. Arguably, the most pressing medical challenge posed by an aging population and one of the biggest commercial opportunities is Alzheimer's disease. Worldwide incidence is projected to triple to 135 million cases by 2050, but so far no drug has been found to slow the memory-erasing condition, less still cure it. Companies have lost hundreds of millions of dollars in failed trials, leading some such as Pfizer and Sanofi to drop out of the race. Others have doubled down. Eli Lilly, for example, last year embarked on its third late-stage trial after 2 failures. Trafford Clark, managing director of Eli Lilly's Neuroscience Research Center, says, quote, "We'll find out in 2 years whether that was the smartest decision we've made or whether we'll be thinking of what possessed us to do that," unquote. While an Alzheimer's drug would be a big prize, a treatment for aging itself would be even bigger. Calico is one of the several startups exploring this frontier. Another is human longevity. Go look that one up, startpage.com. Human longevity, founded by Craig Ventnor, the celebrated U.S. geneticist, with the goal of, quote, expanding a healthier, high-performing, more productive lifespan, unquote. Some of the most promising science is in the field of regenerative medicine, which involves repairing or replacing malfunctioning cells and tissues. Professor Olshansky believes that rather than trying to cheat death, the priority should be to, quote, close the gap between when you die and when you get frail, unquote. This could produce huge social and economic benefits in reduced healthcare costs and increased productivity and consumption. Others are more explicit about their desire to extend life itself. Quote, there is nothing built into our biological system that says we can only live for a certain number of years, unquote, says Michael Cope, chief executive of SENS Research Foundation, an anti-aging research charity. Go look that up. Startpage.com, put in the search engine there, SENS Research Foundation. Continuing, the oldest human on record was Jean Calment, a French woman who died in 1997 at the age of 122. What would be the social implications if such a lifespan became commonplace in the future? Mr. Cope says the world would adapt. Quote, when we give vaccines to children, we don't say, what are you going to do with all those extra people, unquote. We do it because saving lives is the right thing to do, unquote. Now, I'm taking a survey. Let me ask you these questions. This survey is in the article I'll place on the Wayne S. Pierce Show Facebook page as well. And I'll probably put it on a link on the website at the WayneSPierceShow.weebly.com site. The question is, do you think there is age discrimination? I'll let you answer that one. I've already answered it from my point of view. Second question, do you expect to be working or are you working beyond the age of 70? Okay, I've answered it for myself. How much do you expect your income to go down in retirement? I've answered that myself. All these questions I'm not going to give you the answer to because they're my answers from my perspective. So I'll put this up on the Wayne S. Pierce Show Facebook page so you can read the article, get your take on it as well. And then take the survey on your own. And another question is, how much of your retirement income will you spend on, and it goes down, holidays, luxury goods, dining out, new technology, and entertainment? And I'm far from retiring, okay, far from it, and I'll probably keep on going, and, after I'm 60 or 70, so it doesn't really matter. But I've answered a lot of these for myself, and so you should answer these on your own from your perspective. The next question is, given increased longevity, how much risk are you prepared to take in your investment portfolio after the age of 60? So basically, are you gonna risk more at your retirement than you are now? I mean, I don't know. You know, how much do you intend to leave your children is the next question. And since I don't have any, and since I may adopt, and at some point, who knows? I mean, I know people in their 50s. I'm not afraid to say it, I'm 52. And I know men who have had children, their first children in their 50s. And guess what? They tell me that it's the best thing that ever happened to them. It's not that they got their career going and they wanted to establish that. No, it wasn't that. It was they had the opportunity to have a child. They had a child. There it was. And it's the best thing that ever happened to them. Hey, if Mick Jagger can have kids and, at his age, then hey, I don't see why anybody couldn't adopt a child at, my age or older. You know what I mean? I mean, it's really cool. I know a lot of people that have done that, and they love it. They enjoy it. Next question. Do you expect to take up a second career after retirement? Probably, if I'm still working in my first career. This is the next question. Are you taking steps to reduce the risk of dementia and Alzheimer's? I've answered that. And of course, it's just, there's a follow-up question to that too I just answered. So, but again, this is going to go up on the Wayne S. Pierce Show Facebook page, and you can answer these questions from your perspective as well. Read that article. It's very important. I read it to you. So if you didn't get it that time, then you can read it yourself. The next question is, will you or do you still follow fashion trends over the age of 60? Not really. I'm just comfortable. I'm going to tell you that now. And it asked how old you are, and it says, which region do you live in? Do you live in? And I answered that. So I'm going to put, and it's asked for an email address. I'm going to put the mine and get the answers there as well. But this is going up on the Wayne S. Pierce Show Facebook page, and so the link is going to be in there as well. So if you want to check it out, please do. And I do have another question pertaining to the situations in your life. Now, you know what goes on in your life. You know exactly what goes on in your life every single day. Okay? You know it. And the question is, if you had an opportunity to do so, would you change it? Seriously. If you had an opportunity to change something in your life, would you do it? Because there's a whole push of changing things right now because things aren't going the way they're going, and I tell you that all the time. So if there was, one thing or two things or, a number of things that you can put together and say, hey, I want to change things. Here's what I, want to change. Would you do it? Okay. Because it's a pebble in the pond, folks. Small ripples out to bigger ones. I mean, so you got to think about that as well. Hey, I'm going to take another break. Last break of the show. Please email me, freeamericaradio@usa.com, freeamericaradio@usa.com. Remember, for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 29th, 30th, and 31st, Eastland Radio Repertory Theater on Spreaker.com. Live broadcast Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, Halloween, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. Come join me for the Halloween special that I'm going to be broadcasting on those 3 nights. And I want to hear from you. So I will be in the chat room those 3 nights. So come join me. 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. Eastland Radio Repertory Theater on Spreaker.com or at eastlandradiotheater.weebly.com. I shall return right after this. Are you tired of listening to boring online late-night radio? Then listen to Late Night in the Midlands with your host, Michael Vera, 9 p.m. to 12 midnight Eastern. Go to www.latenightinthemidlands.com for more information. Hey, folks. Welcome back. This is the Wayne S. Pierce Show podcast for the 27th of October. Come join me the 29th, 30th, and 31st this week for a live Halloween special broadcast over on Eastland Radio Repertory Theater on Spreaker.com. 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. Right there on Spreaker.com, obviously. That's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern, a Halloween special at Eastland Radio Repertory Theater. Yes, that's the one. Eastland Radio Repertory Theater. Or you can go to eastlandradiotheater.weebly.com to listen to it live. Check things out. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Welcome back. Hey, lots of things going on. I got a few things to go through, but I always like asking people questions because it makes you think, doesn't it? It makes you think, doesn't it? Really, seriously. Now, here's something else, and this is going to be taken really to the nth degree as far as somebody else is concerned, because I'm just going to read you this article, and, well, I'll let you decide. This is from New York Times. That's nytimes.com. New York Times. From Sheila Dwan. Thank you, Sheila. Appreciate this. She posted this. It was posted a couple of days ago on the 25th. From Arnold's Park, Iowa. The headline reads, Law lets IRS seize accounts on suspicion, no crime required. Let me read that again. Law lets IRS, I was telling you that we need to abolish the IRS. Law lets IRS seize accounts on suspicion, no crime required. For almost 40 years, Carol Hinders has dished out Mexican specialties on her modest cash-only restaurant. For just as long, she deposited the earnings at a small bank branch a block away, and until last year, when two tax agents knocked on her door and informed her that they had seized her checking account almost $33,000. The Internal Revenue Service agents did not accuse Ms. Hinders of money laundering or cheating on her taxes. In fact, she has not been charged with any crime. Instead, the money was seized solely because she had deposited less than $10,000 at the time, which they viewed as an attempt to avoid triggering a required government report, because banks are required to do that. Quote, "How can this happen?" unquote, Ms. Hinder said in recent interview. Quote, "Who takes your money before they prove that you've done anything wrong with it?" unquote. The federal government does. I'm going to put this article up on the Wayne S. Pierce Show Facebook page. Using a law designed to catch drug traffickers, racketeers, and terrorists by tracking their cash, the government has gone after run-of-the-mill business owners and wage earners without so much as an allegation that they have committed serious crimes. The government can take the money without ever filing a criminal complaint, and the owners are left to prove that they're innocent. Many give up. Quote, They're going after people who are really not criminals, unquote, said David Smith, a former federal prosecutor who is now a forfeiture expert and lawyer in Virginia. Quote, they're middle-class citizens who have never had any trouble with the law, unquote. On Thursday, in response to questions from the New York Times, the IRS announced it would curtail the practice, focusing instead on cases where the money is believed to have been acquired illegally or seizure is deemed justified by, quote-unquote, exceptional circumstances. Richard Weber, the chief criminal investigation at the IRS, said in a written statement, quote, the policy update will ensure that CI continues to focus on limited investigative resources on identifying and investigating violations within our jurisdiction that closely align with CI's mission and key priorities, unquote. He added that making deposits under $10,000 to evade reporting requirements, called structuring, is still a crime whether the money is from legal or illegal sources. The new policy will not apply to past seizures. The IRS is one of several federal agencies that pursue such cases and then refer them to the Justice Department. The Justice Department does not track the total number of cases pursued, the amount of money seized, or how many of the cases were related to other crimes, said Peter Carr, a spokesman. But the Institute for Justice, a Washington-based public interest law firm that is seeking to perform civil forfeiture practices, analyzed structuring data from the IRS, which made 639 seizures in 2012, up from 114 in 2005. Only 1 in 5 was prosecuted as a criminal structuring case. In other words, all that time, there were 5 that were actual criminal structuring cases. 5 out of 639. In other words, the IRS is completely and utterly out of control, people. They need to go away now. I'm getting ahead of myself. Continuing, the practice has swept up dairy farmers in Maryland, an Army sergeant in Virginia saving for his children's college education, and Ms. Hinders, 67, who has borrowed money, strained her credit cards, and taken out a second mortgage to keep her restaurant going. We need to get rid of the IRS. People, right now in the United States of America, right now, you are a patriot. You have to defend your freedoms, the entrepreneurs, this restaurant owner, and all the veterans that are getting their property seized because they're trying to do something to support themselves and their families. We need to get rid of the IRS today. This midterm election, whether or not it is national or local or whatever, we need to put the message out right now that we need to get rid of the IRS, period. Do it now. We need to stand together and come together and stand together for the defense of the nation, both economically, but also as a society of people that know what is right. Okay? Continuing. Their money was seized under an increasingly controversial area of law known as civil asset forfeiture, which allows law enforcement agents to take property they suspect of being tied to crime, even if no criminal charges are filed. Law enforcement agencies get to keep a share of whatever is forfeited. We need to get rid of that law, period. The only thing that the Department of Justice needs to do against these drug dealers that have multiple millions of dollars, or even the small guy renting an apartment, selling his drugs to do that, the only thing the Department of Justice has a right to do is throw that asshat into jail, period. Want to take his stuff? Well, it's all evidence now. It's part of the Justice Department. Continuing, critics say this incentive has led to the creation of a law enforcement dragnet with more than 100 multi-agency task force combining through bank reports looking for accounts to seize. Under the Bank Secrecy Act, go to startpage.com, look that one up. Banks and other financial institutes must report cash deposits greater than $10,000. But since many criminals are aware of that requirement, banks also are supposed to report any suspicious activity, including deposit patterns below $10,000. Last year, banks filed more than 700,000 suspicious activity reports. Owners who are caught up in the structuring cases often cannot afford to fight. The median amount seized by the IRS is $34,000, according to the Institute of Justice Analysis, while legal costs can easily mount to $20,000 or more. There is nothing illegal about depositing less than $10,000 cash unless it is done specifically to evade the reporting requirement. But often a mere bank statement is enough for investigators to obtain a seizure warrant. In one Long Island case, the police submitted almost a year's worth of daily deposits of a business ranging from $5,500 to $9,900, and the officer wrote in his warrant affidavit that based on his training and experience, the pattern, quote, is consistent with structuring, unquote. The government seized $447,000 from the business, a cash incentive candy and cigarette distributor that has been run by the family for 27 years. There are often legitimate business reasons for keeping deposits below $10,000, said Larry Salzman, a lawyer for the Institute for Justice, who is representing Ms. Hinders and the Long Island family pro bono. For example, he said a grocery store owner in Fraser, Michigan, had an insurance policy that covered only up to $10,000 in cash. When he neared the limit, he would make a deposit. Ms. Hinders said that she did not know about the reporting requirement and that for decades she thought she had been doing everyone a favor. I'm going to put this up on the Wayne S. Pierce Show Facebook page so you can read the rest of that. There's a whole lot more. But I'm going to tell you right now, we need to get rid of the IRS. We need to get rid of the Federal Reserve. We need to get rid of all these policies. This is an IRS policy, not a law. We need to get rid of all these corrupt policies that inhibit and suppress entrepreneurship and community growth, period. That's what we need to do. We need to get rid of it all. We just need to get rid of it all. Simple. Let the market work itself out, because it can, and it has so many times in the past, and it works very well. We need to get rid of all the regulations that suppress entrepreneurship. We need to replace it with common sense. Common sense in business. Look at the market, examine the market, see what's happening, let the market adjust itself for any failures or downturns or any increases. We need, here's the bottom line, folks. We need to get the government out of our lives, out of our business, out of our communities, everywhere. We need to get the federal government out of everything. We need to allow the states to work and to grow. And we can't do that when we have corrupt politicians running for city council, for county board of supervisors, for state governments. State offices. We can't do that. We the people have to come together and make our voices heard. We have to come together and say enough's enough. We have to come together and say I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. We have to come together and look at our governors, look at our board of supervisors, look at our city councils, look at our police, our sheriffs, everybody, and we have to look at our state government, our governors, and we have to look them in the eye and say, you're going to do what we want you to do, and if you can't do that or don't want to do that, we will vote your ass out of office today. And if that doesn't work, folks, here's something else. Do not consent to any unconstitutional laws, either statewide, local, or national. Do not consent. When you put down a no consent order against the state by the people, the state has no power. Because people, you give the state its power. To take that power away from the governors, from the legislators, from the local areas, and from the national representatives that we have, we do not consent. I don't know who out there can do this or has the connections to do this, but put out a no consent order. Not a decree, not a policy, not any. No. We, the people, under the organic Constitution and Bill of Rights of the United States prior to 1871, do not consent to any unconstitutional laws within this government. And you can put that on a sign, or you can put these words, we do not consent. And put forth within your communities a no consent order and place it on the desk of your governors. And you tell them you either sign this for the people or you're against the people, and we will make sure that we get somebody else in here that's going to help us out. Now, a lot of people don't like that, and a lot of people don't like the way I talk. But some people may say, "Well, you're ordering up a coup. You're wanting people to come against their government." No, I'm not. I'm wanting people to defend their rights and liberties that they have been so accustomed to having for so many years. Now, either we do it, or we're going to be wearing orange in a prison cell somewhere, or we're going to be in a family residential facility called a FEMA camp somewhere, and we're going to be upheld for no reason whatsoever. Okay? Now you either get up off your ass and go do this, or you've lost your community. So let me put it this way as well. Let me simplify it before the end of the show. We the people are the ones that have lent our power to the government. It is our responsibility and duty under the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States to take that power back if we feel that we have been wronged. And if we believe that we live under a tyrannical system which we can no longer live under. So now it's time to take that power back. And you've heard that for many, many years, but guess what? A lot of people out there, some wimpy ass, whiny ass little people that just don't give a crap. Almost said something else. And I can tell you this much right now. You either get the balls and the backbone to stand up and defend yourself, or you're going to be laying down and letting this government roll over you. That's your choices. I'm going to take off here, but come join me on the Views Express Live today. At a new time today, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. The Views Express Live, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. Come join me then, and we'll talk more about what we can do and how we can come together to take back America. All right? Talk to you guys later. Enjoy your Monday, and have a great day.